Welcome back. As you know, I'm Eli, the computer guy, over here for the Daily Blob, where we say AI, 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 AI. Have you heard about AI? I'm sure you haven't heard about AI, but there's this thing out there called AI, and AI is the most important thing to ever happen to humanity. This definitely isn't a dumbass bubble that's built on a whole bunch of crap. No, AI. AI. So anyways, I kind of think this is interesting to just talk about for a second. For people coming out and talking about the jobs that AI will replace, because AI is going to replace everything. This is going to come as a shock to you. This is going to come as a shock to you. You're going to be like, oh my golly. But founders and CEOs of companies that focus on AI, they think AI is the most valuable thing in the world. You know the leaders of companies that are creating AI products? Yeah, they think they should get all the money in the tech industry and nobody else should get a dime. Because obviously, they're the most important thing. So I find this interesting. Just how stupid it is. It's just dumb. It's just dumb. This is the dumb crap that smart people pawn off on dumb people to try to prop up their value proposition. Coming from CNBC, ex-Google exec. Look at that. Be impressed. He's an ex-Google exec. You know how smart that means he is. No, I don't. Could be a fucking rock. I've met Googlers. The idea that AI will create new jobs is 100% crap. Even CEOs are at risk of displacement. And so I thought that was an interesting comment out of here. The idea that AI is going to replace CEOs. Fuck me. Do these people even know what grass is? Maybe that's the problem. Maybe the problem in the AI industry right now is we all keep telling these people to touch grass. Hey folks, you have no understanding of reality. Maybe if you go out and touch some grass, you'll be able to pull your head out of your ass. But we never stop to ask the question. Maybe these people are so cloistered they don't even know what grass is. Every time we tell them to go out and touch the grass, they're like, oh, because they don't want us to know. They don't know what the hell we're talking about. It's kind of like I remember that with our other Chihuahuas. So our new Chihuahua we have is Roxy. We had 2 Chihuahuas before that, Mama and Peanut. And the thing was, they were basically, before us, they were just in the house all the time. They spent like the first 5 years of their lives, essentially just in the house. And so if you ever owned a Chihuahua, I mean, they're spastic to begin with. But so we'd go out and take them out on walks. And they would lose their mind at leaves. At leaves. Like, having your Chihuahua lose its mind at a person, it sucks, but you get it. At another dog, it sucks, you get it. You know what it's like to have your dogs losing their fucking minds over leaves? Fucking leaf! Back, you fucking leaf! I will eat you, leaf! Oh my God, they would go batshit over leaves. Because I guess they hadn't really seen leaves before. So it seemed like a legitimate target. Anyway, I feel like that's kind of like these AI engineers and these AI founders. I feel like they've been in their server room for so fucking long, they don't know what grass actually is anymore. So we keep telling them to touch grass. They nod their heads. And I don't know. We get the idea that CEOs are going to be replaced by AI. The thing you have to be thinking about with AI is, again, a lot of folks just want to hand life over to artificial intelligence. And take the snark aside, it's a very weird phenomenon that I've seen. Many people find modern life to be abjectly exhausting. Right? They psychologically can't handle modern life. And if you think about it, our society, especially like the American society, is so screwed up, right? Our young people's rates of suicide are through the roof. At the exact same time, young adults don't want to have kids. I mean, like, really think about the entrenched, just depression isn't even the word there. Our young people are offing themselves at record rates. And even the ones that are not offing themselves literally don't want to have kids. The idea of having children is just, what? Think about it. Like, the fundamental, as I've said, the fundamental foundations of our society. You need to have kids. We need kids. We need over 2 kids per couple for the civilization to continue. But people are so exhausted and they are so lost that they see no path forward. And with artificial intelligence coming out, and it's not fucking artificial intelligence, it's LLMs and multimodal models and reasoning models. It's fucking models. It's neural networks. Let's just call it neural networks, right? These neural networks and the output of neural networks, I suppose. Right? There's this idea that this is intelligence, and this intelligence is going to be superior to us. And so it's like, there is this desperation in our society to be enslaved to something, right? If I can hand over my life to this other thing, then I don't have to worry about it anymore. But one, that doesn't really work out the way you think it's going to work out. And then 2, it's not fucking artificial intelligence. They're models. Right? But if you have that mentality, if you have this mentality that AI is superior to us and you desperately want it, right? Your life is so miserable and fucking pathetic. You barely understand why you should wake up in the morning, much less why you should procreate, right? You're desperate for that. You want to hand your life over to this thing. But then think about the mentality that goes along with it. The idea that these computer systems can somehow not just provide decision processing, but also things like meaning. Really think about what people are trying to hand over to artificial intelligence and why that becomes important when we talk about AI displacing or replacing CEOs, right? Is that CEOs run companies. Right? There is more to being a CEO than simply understanding profit and loss and understanding marketing and understanding bits of HR and understanding all that kind of stuff. One of the components of being a CEO is actually leading the company. What is the culture of the company? What is the personality of the company? Right? All of that kind of stuff comes from the CEO, and you're not going to get that out of artificial intelligence. If you're having humans, you need people to lead them. But anyways, that's just coming from somebody who deals with people. Mo Gaudat, former chief business officer at Google X, the company's innovation lab, says AI is likely coming for your role, whether you're in the C-suite or an entry-level worker. As I would say with all of this, if you replace AI with automation, probably. Technology changes jobs. Sometimes technology is a workforce multiplier, therefore it allows you to do more. Sometimes it's an auto attendant and it replaces your entire career or your entire job skill, right? Technology and automation does that. But by calling it AI, because calling it artificial intelligence, that makes it sound sexy so that they can get more investment money, right? I think about this with kiosks. I love kiosks. So I started using kiosks back at Sheetz. So there's this great gas station chain called Sheetz. Go to it. They make the best sandwiches in the world. Anyway, Sheetz started having these little kiosks a long time ago, 20 years ago. And it was great because you can just walk up to this kiosk, you can plug in what you want, And then, I don't know, a couple minutes later, the person hands you your sub. Yay. And what we've seen is more and more of that, more of these automation systems, right? Go to the airport, right? If you go to Southwest at BWI, instead of having to deal with the counter clerk or whatever, they've got 50 of these kiosks so you can check in, right? That's a great way of doing things. So many things now, you've got these kiosks. You don't need AI. There doesn't need to be a single artificial intelligence component behind that. It's just a kiosk is a lot easier way of dealing with many things than actually running through a person, right? And so it's curious here where a lot of these tech companies, they want to glom AI onto absolutely everything. And as I've said, in many places where it's not artificial intelligence, it's automation, it's that kind of thing. The idea that AI will create jobs is, quote, 100% crap, Godot said Monday on the Diary of a CEO podcast, using his own AI startup, Emma.love, as an example. He and 2 other software experts built the app with the help of AI, a project that would have required, quote, 350 developers in the past, he said. So, right, he throws out numbers. Who the hell knows what these numbers actually mean? 350 developers is a shit ton of developers. I mean, think about this. He's saying 350 developers. If you have 350 full-time developers, right, that is, fuck me, that's 14,000 hours of work per week to develop your project. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of people. I question if he actually replaced 350 developers or if he pulled that out of his ass. Godot has worked in tech for over 30 years. He was in the C-suite at Google X for almost 5 years, tackling major problems facing humanity, like energy, climate change, and internet access. Even the jobs you may think require humans will be eliminated, including video editors, podcasters, and executives, said Godot. Right? Artificial general intelligence is, quote, going to be better than humans at everything, including being a CEO, said Godot. There will be a time where most incompetent CEOs will be replaced. So the incompetent CEO is going to be replaced. By what? A bot? I don't know. How do you argue against this stupidity? I feel like this is like it's like when AI hits debate me bro culture and you just really don't know what to do with it anymore. Right? Companies need leadership. Will artificial intelligence change the roles and how the job of CEO is done? Yes, absolutely. Of course. Right? I talk about the Rolodex. Right? If you're going to go out and get investors or whatever else. I talk about the whole idea of make sure they have a good Rolodex. And we've literally got into an era that many of the young people don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about. Like even for me, I'm Gen X. Rolodexes were on the way out by the time I hit the corporate world, but I knew what they were. My father had a Rolodex, right? I saw Rolodexes. We replaced that with Outlook. But nowadays, we're getting to the point where people don't even know what a Rolodex is, right? So CEOs nowadays, they know how to use email. Woo! Some of them do. They know how to use Slack. They know how to use that kind of stuff, right? Their jobs have changed. Their tasks have changed, but you still need a chief executive officer as a position of leadership to basically push the company forward. Push the company. Why is the company doing what it's doing? How do you make decisions? All of these types of things, that is done by somebody in the CEO position, right? That's why it's important to have the executives, the chief marketing officer, the chief security officer, CTO, CIO, chief information officer, technological officer, CFO, chief financial officer. You need people overseeing what is going on at the company to verify that it's doing basically more or less what it's supposed to be doing. Again, it gets very wiggly when you actually try to run an organization, but you try to keep the wiggles within bounds. Bounds of wiggles, right? The idea that you're going to hand this over to an AI, I just feel like these folks don't even understand what is going on. And then they probably say, I don't understand what is going on. And I don't know. Maybe I just need to go have a beer. I haven't had a beer since like October. Maybe I need a beer. Maybe that's what needs to happen. So anyways, I just kind of think this is an interesting thing to be thinking about. And an interesting thing, like within your organization, is start thinking about jobs and start thinking about positions beyond the idea of the technology that the people use. But what is the actual value that that person is bringing to the company? Right? I've talked about this before. I thought it was interesting. I was in Miami, and I was at one of these meetups, and I was just eavesdropping on this conversation. And these two people were talking. They were talking about the reason that a lot of managers don't like remote work. And the reason is because they don't even know what their KPIs are. So KPIs are key performance indicators. Basically just what is the win, what is the loss if you have an employee, where are they bringing value? And that a lot of companies, even now, don't even know the KPIs for their employees. And so the idea is you bring them back into the office and then you feel like you're managing them. Right? If you have employees and they're spread all over the world and you don't know what the KPIs are, you don't feel like you're managing them. If you bring them all into a cube farm, then you feel like you're managing them. So it makes the managers feel better, which I think is kind of an interesting thing to think about. But I think if you go beyond that, if you look at most companies, they don't know what their KPIs are. They don't know what the KPI of their CEO is. They don't really know what the KPI of their CFO is. They don't know what the KPI of their CMO or any of these other people are, right? They have jobs because they seem vaguely successful enough. And so I think going forward, the things we have to really start thinking about is for all of our positions is what is this employee, whether it's a CEO or a janitor, what are they actually trying to accomplish for the company? What is the value that they bring to the company? And then making sure that they have the technology that allows them to multiply their effectiveness. So I think about this with artificial intelligence and CEOs, right? The idea that you're going to get rid of a CEO for artificial intelligence is fucking stupid, right? Only an AI startup founder would say something as fucking stupid as that shit, right? But something to think about with AI, right, is, as I've talked about before, the concept of single pane of glass. I love single panes of glass. And basically what single pane of glass is a dashboard for your systems, right? So in the technology world, the idea is you have your networking and you have your servers and you have your data stores and you have your API calls and you have all this kind of stuff, right? And so you're constantly logging. You're constantly analyzing what's going on, CPU usage of your servers, latency on your data connections, that kind of stuff. And so what a single pane of glass is for me as a CIO or CTO, I can come in and on one screen, I can see the status of my environment, right? That's the idea. One of the things I think about with CEOs and what I'd be pushing for in the future is how do we start adding single panes of glass for CEOs? How does a CEO come in and understand the physical environment and understand how their company is operating on a minute-to-minute basis by simply looking at the single pane of glass? And then if you can create the log files for this, so logging when employees clock into the office and clock out of the office, logging, utilization of systems, logging HVAC, seeing customer service complaints, all of that kind of stuff. If they can see that on one screen, so they have a better idea of what's going on, then you can overlay basically AI filters. Right? As the CEO sees things, it can say, this is a problem. And then it could tell the AI why it's a problem. Look, if toilet paper goes below 50 rolls, I know we're going to be out of it too soon, so that's an issue. And so AI learns, okay, if you go below 50 rolls of toilet paper, that's a bad thing. But if AI is quote unquote learning, then it knows, okay, for one location, you need at least 50 rolls of toilet paper. So then as you expand to 2 and 3 and 4 locations, it can extrapolate. So instead of teaching it, okay, this place needs 50 rolls of toilet paper, and this place needs 50 rolls of toilet paper, it can simply say, oh, building 2 is below 50 rolls of toilet paper, And you go, oh, okay, I need to look into that. Or you can continue. Machine learn, you can train. Oh, building 2 has fewer employees than building 1, ergo set that level at 30 rolls of toilet paper. Right? I know I get really focused on toilet paper as a CEO, but one of the things I really want you folks to understand is CEOs' jobs are more than whatever the fuck it is you're doing. CEOs have to care about many more things than your server room. Just because the server room is your life doesn't mean it's everybody else's life. Anyways, right? And so if they can have that single pane of glass for alerts to come up and then be able to add in rules, okay, so if it goes below, 50 rolls of toilet paper, auto order another 1,000 rolls of toilet paper, that type of thing, right? And you can start setting this up. But you still have the human, you still have the CEO seeing what's going on and trying to make sure the ship is going relatively in the direction that it's supposed to go. And then, if a backhoe goes through a T1 line, I've actually had that happen in the past. If a hurricane happens, if these events happen, what does the CEO then decide, right? Because that's the interesting thing. Like, I was just I live in Asheville. We got hit by a hurricane. We got hit by Helene, right? We are in western North Carolina. We are 8 hours from the ocean, or 5 hours. We're 5 to 6 hours from the ocean, right? 5 to 6 hours from the ocean. We are in the mountains, and we got hit by a hurricane, right? 100-year flood, worse than a 100-year flood, hit us, everything goes to hell. What does your piece of shit AI CEO do when your mountain town goes through a fucking hurricane? Right? That's what humans are there for. Maybe they don't make the best decisions. Many times they do not make the best decisions, but they're there in a dynamic environment. Holy crap, our data center just went down the river. Now what? Right? Anyways, the idea that that's going to be replaced by artificial intelligence is garbage. And this is where I just get tired. I just get fundamentally tired of these AI conversations. It's just, I don't know if these people are disingenuous or just fucking stupid, right? I don't know if they're really arguing their points because they believe it, or if they literally don't know what the word grass actually relates to, so that they can't comprehend what they're saying. I don't know. But that's my pondering. Will AI replace CEOs? No, they're just not going to replace CEOs. Might they replace some jobs? Yes. But anyways. And is that going to be AI, or is that just going to be automation? Right? Sheets, 20 years ago, they added in touchscreen computers, touchscreen kiosks, so you could just order your crap. Didn't have to be any artificial intelligence with that. It still eliminated jobs. Anyways, some things to think about. Give us a thumbs up, give us a thumbs down, leave a comment down below. Tell me I'm amazing, telling me I'm stupid. It's okay. That's all okay. YouTube doesn't care as long as it's an interaction. Do remember, silicondojo.com exists. We're having a fireside chat tomorrow in my timeline with the VP for AI models over at IBM. We're going to be talking about what IBM is doing with AI. We're going to be talking about models, that type of thing. So if you can go over to silicondojo.com and you sign up there. You can sign up for free. Basically, it's a Zoom call. So basically, you get on, you can type questions into the chat stream, and that's what it is. So if you're interested, silicondojo.com. And with that, see y'all later.